You fools! Matt and Roy, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel. Me from the press center and Roy from his Airbnb in Turin. And we are here watching all of the rehearsals of the day. And we had Switzerland, Marius Bear, boys do cry. And we were curious to see what's going to happen. We heard from the team, the delegation, that they were caught off guard a little bit by this whole situation when it comes to the stage dilemma. And did they figure something out, Roy? What did you think about what you saw?
Yeah, I think they were definitely trying to figure things out while they were rehearsing. Like we saw a few tweaks and changes throughout the three rehearsals that we got. They're really working a lot with like details being projected on Marius's face. Like you have a broken heart at some point, and that like if he isn't perfectly on the spot where he needs to be, will look a little bit off. And they were really struggling a little bit with trying to get that right. And I'm not sure if they completely nailed that yet. That being said, though, it does have a few effects that I did really like. You have some raindrops at some point coming down. I really like that. They have like a little bit of a canvas on the side where they have like a projected guy or like a little boy who's like playing with his aeroplane. And you have a few other projections on there that I really, really dig. Yeah, overall, I think the staging concept is cool, but it is very much focused on those details. And if those details are off, it might not translate as well as you would expect with other songs. I will also say that the opening shot of this song is one of my favorites of today. It's like he is like completely swallowed by all the white lighting behind him, and then you get close to him, and when he starts singing, the spotlight comes on his face. You see him sing. And it's just a really nice way to get introduced to the song. So overall, it's good, but there are some dangers on the horizon.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, because it's such a quiet, subtle performance, those little details stand out even more because it's mostly just dark and black. So when you have that heart on your cheek and then on the floor, if that's not completely positioned, then it could look a little awkward. That all these flashing effects in his face, like it's a flashlight, almost like a fancy flashlight, and it flashes. I find that more distracting, but I think I get where they're going with this. The problem more than anything is actually, he had like one crack up in his voice. I think the first run through, then he was fine, I think. But it was more about there's a lot of meh camera shots, so many camera blocking the view shots, more than all the other performances. I saw like 2 or 3 in one run through. I'm like, come on, that's a lot. One, I know happens every once in a while, but having so many, that made me really, really nervous. So that's the stuff that stood out to me the most. I think that they need to work on that a lot. And granted, that's more the camera team than the actual delegation, but obviously they will be probably a little bit nervous about that because this is a song that needs a moment. You need to connect with Marius. So if you take that away from it and you're just like, Marius, it just really takes you out of the moment. So I think Switzerland needs a little bit more fixing in terms of his voice. He needs to be consistent, but we said earlier he may have held back and didn't try to hit that big note, not to ruin his voice. So hopefully that is fine. But he was certainly into the performance, and he was charming, and I tremendously enjoyed it. So just to go back to what he needs to change, Roy, the biggest thing is like consistency, or what were you thinking?
Yeah, consistency with his voice, that's definitely. But like you said, like there were definitely a few camera shots that were a bit off. And they just need to make sure that in the final run through in the dress rehearsal that they nail the details. And that is the biggest thing for me, because if you don't nail the details, a camera angle is also a bad thing, I guess. But those details are your staging. So if you mess it up, it's not going to look as great. And people usually don't notice that the details are happening. But when the details are off, that's when people will notice. So they need to make sure they nail that.
Yeah, it's a diamond in the rough, what I call it right now. There are lots of good things happening there. It's just a few more hiccups that they need to figure out. Camera work, we talked about, positioning, those kind of things, maybe even some lighting stuff. So they're not ready yet, I would say, but they can be ready if they fix those. So hopefully I'm sure they're fully aware of these things, but that is what we noticed. Did you watch that little clip? What did you think? Let us know in the comment section. Very important. We'd love to hear from you. All right. See you in the next video.